and welcome to the Gentle and Classical Press YouTube channel. We are so thankful that you are here. And if you're here watching this video, you probably have some questions about what even is the Gentle and Classical Press. You may have heard of us or seen us online, and somewhere a friend may have mentioned us. You may have seen us in a bundle or maybe an ad on Facebook or Google. And I wanted to make sure that everyone who wondered what is the Gentle and Classical Press had a very specific answer to that question. And so that is what this video is about. And I want to begin by saying what the vision is for the Gentle and Classical Press. As of 2023, we are beginning our 6th year in business. So we are a very young company still. We're still growing, we're still learning, we're still developing. And 6 years ago, the Lord put this vision statement on my heart when I was creating my blog and creating our very first program, the Gentle and Classical Preschool, well before I even really knew that this was going to become an actual thing that so many thousands of families would use in their own home. So I want to share that vision statement with you, and then I'm going to share the 7 attributes of what we kind of stand for at the Gentle and Classical Press. So our vision statement is that the Gentle and Classical Press was created to equip and encourage Christian homeschool moms with materials that strengthen their confidence, enculturate their homes with goodness, beauty, and truth, and make home education in the Charlotte Mason and classical education philosophies a practical joy. It is our hope and our dream, and really what God laid on my heart 6 years ago, that anything that we create would be a tool that would equip you, but also encourage you, that it would strengthen your resolve in what you're doing, that it would give you the confidence and the empowerment to do so, that would fill your home with what is good and true and beautiful, but would put some teeth to the Charlotte Mason and classical education philosophies and help you understand at least how we do these in our home, and therefore how they can work for you. So I'm going to talk about our 7 attributes very briefly. So the first thing that I want you to know about us is that we are eclectic. We do not pretend to be a purely Charlotte Mason or classical education program. I don't love to get into academic debates and stuff because I think things like that are tedious and just not how I want to spend my time. So I just want to share that a lot of people do not agree that Charlotte Mason is a classical educator, but I do. And if you have questions about Charlotte Mason and the classical education paradigm, I really encourage you to look into Karen Glass. She has some wonderful books. Her very first book, the name escapes me at the moment, but her very first book is all about how Charlotte Mason is a classical educator. And I just wholeheartedly agree, and I'm not an expert on the subject. So the one thing that you really need to know about our eclectic approach is that we are focused on real life, practical application of these principles in your home. And Gentle and Classical Press came from over a decade of my experiences with my children, and as well as reading Charlotte Mason's work, wonderful books like A Well-Trained Mind or The Well-Trained Mind is one of the newer books, but like Classical Academic Press has published The Liberal Arts Tradition, Norms and Nobility. These are all excellent books, and the focus of both the Charlotte Mason and classical education is that everything that we do is about Christ and for Christ and points to Him. And so that is the marrying agent between the two things, and both have strengths that I think accentuate them. So we don't focus on trying to prove to anybody why Charlotte Mason and classical education are a wonderful mix or why they're the perfect thing for everyone. Our goal is to say, if these two types of education appeal to you, then this is how we do it. This is how we've kind of put some teeth to it and made it happen in a really practical, manageable way in our own homeschool. And that is what it means to be gentle and classical for us. Now, the second attribute is that we are foundational. And so you might immediately think, well, if you're foundational, the focus of your preschool or your kindergarten programs are going to be ABCs and one, two, threes. Get into the academics and teaching our children the most basic things that are their entire educations are going to be built upon. But that is not how we view foundational. Foundational for us is we say, what is the end goal of man? And it is to glorify God. And so, how do we do that? We raise children and we educate children that are wise and patient and kind and self sacrificial and generous and all of these wonderful virtues that are fruits of the Spirit that are our responsibility as parents to teach to our children. And so, our goal is the foundational aspects of their personhood. All children are born persons, but we're all born with the ability to do both good and bad. And so we want to help our children grow in character. And so that starts at a very young age. As soon as our children are up and mobile and moving around, the opportunities for them to develop character begin at that point. And so that's our goal, is that we are teaching our children about what is virtue, what do each of these mean, how can we live them out. We are giving them stories that inspire them to be more virtuous in these different ways. We are teaching them basic manners and hygiene principles in our preschool program. We're teaching them basic theology, even in preschool and kindergarten, because they can learn about their faith and have an answer for their faith at a very early age. These are the foundations that we're focused on. And of course, sure, we're going to learn our letters and we're going to learn our numbers, but we are not a official formal math program or reading instruction program. There are a lot of companies out there that already do reading instruction and math instruction with absolute excellence. So we're staying in our lane and we point you to our favorite companies and we give you everything in between those things that are foundational to who we want our children to be when they're adults, so far as we are capable of influencing them and guiding them and training them in those ways. So we are a foundational company that's focused more on the heart than we are some of what most of us think about when we think about the fundamentals of education, because our kids are smart and they're going to learn their ABCs and their one, two, threes. But there's more in this world that's pulling them away from the virtues of the heart than things that are pulling them away from academic knowledge. So that is where our heart is always focused. So our third attribute is flexible. We are a very flexible curriculum. So we're all familiar with the idea of Charlotte Mason's feast. And so I like to think of Charlotte Mason's feast as a buffet. You walk up to this beautiful buffet. There are many, many, many things to pick from, and you're hungry for more. And so you want to go with some of the things that you need to have. You need to have the salad. You need to have some protein. And then some of the things you want to have, the things that taste good. And our plate is only so big. We can only fit so many wonderful and good things on our plate. But when we walk away from that buffet with a full plate, we don't have to do it with a mentality of fear that the things that are on the buffet are going to disappear and we can never go to them again. We know if we sit down and we fill our bellies with what we needed at that moment and what tasted good at that moment, that we can always return to the buffet and we can get more of the same and we can try new things. And so we like to spread a feast, and we like to remind you that it is a buffet. And so even some of our programs can be very overwhelming when you're first getting started. We openly acknowledge that because there are several different chunks. They are meaty programs, but we also say again and again and again in our teacher's guides, please treat these as a buffet. Do not behave or believe that you have to do everything every single day. No, 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 no. I promise you that as the creator that we do not do everything every day. It just does not happen. So treat it as a buffet, adapt it to your own family's needs, and adapt it to the ages of your children. That's another way that we're flexible, is we do not try to bury ourselves into one specific grade level, because our children are often not specifically on one grade level. They can have academic abilities in one area. Reading is strong, but maybe they're struggling with some character attributes, or maybe their attention span is really long for their age or really short for their age. So you can choose different levels inside of our programs that make it work for your child and your family's needs. And that is one of the most important things that is super, super foundational to our program. The next thing is that we are a holistic program. We are whole child and whole family centered. And so, one way that we do that is with our memory statement boards. Our memory statement boards are something that is designed to be beautiful, and it's also a tool. And we encourage and suggest that they be in the center of the home so that dad and siblings and everyone in the family and the children themselves are constantly exposed to beautiful art and beautiful ideas. That when they pass by the memory statement about joy, that they would remember the definition of joy and all that they have to be joyful about. And that other siblings or family members would come into the home and they would see what your younger child or what the kids are learning and would be able to have conversations with them about those things. And it keeps these things that are beautiful and good and true and very important to your child's character and heart development, keeps them top of mind, so that we don't just fall into the habit of getting the important subjects like math and reading done every day and then just kind of skip over and forget about all of the things that bring a fullness and a richness and a beauty to your child's education, to your home, to your family culture. And we're also holistic in that we honor the developmental needs of the children. We keep our programs really simplified at a young age because we want to make sure that every child is getting exactly what they need. But also we have the fullness in the programs that they're still very flexible even inside of those age groups. So we do not ask that children do things that are developmentally inappropriate for them, and the levels that we provide help you to pick what is developmentally appropriate for your child. And then the other side of that holisticness is make sure it's very important to us that it's also the right fit for mom as well. And so we care about moms at the Gentle and Classical Press. And we'll get down to that in more in a second. I don't want to get into the mom thing very much, but it is very important for us that these are holistic programs that treat the mom as a person too, not just a one-dimensional teacher that doesn't also have needs and preferences when it comes to teaching her children at home. So our fifth attribute is that we are a front-end loaded program. So that was the best way I could say, is that we're a prep-heavy program. When you first receive, whether you download and print out yourself or you order in print, there's going to be a little bit of organizing that takes place. But we do offer start here guides that give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, step by step. This is how to print, cut, maybe laminate, but organize your materials so that as you go through the year, you're spending maybe 15 minutes a week doing the planning. And so that's our goal, is that there is not a lot of stress during the week. We want to take maybe, 4 or 5 hours during the summertime and give you the opportunity to set your mind on everything that's in the teacher's guide, get everything printed out, and know exactly what you need to do. And then once a week, you'll change out some binder pages, you'll change out your memory statement boards, and you'll shuffle a few books around in your book stack, and that is totally it. So there is some prep work up front, but we walk you through that step by step, and it makes sure that the rest of the year is super simple to implement. All right. Our attribute number 6 is that this program, as you heard in the vision statement, is geared towards the homeschool Christian mom. That does not mean that dads are not welcome, or grandparents or guardians or siblings. We obviously want everyone that loves the principles of the Gentle and Classical Press to use these programs in their home. But the vision that the Lord laid on my heart was to encourage and equip homeschool moms. And so that is who we speak to most of the time in our teacher's guides or when we create these videos. So everyone is welcome here, and it's not like the programs are not usable if you're not a mom. You get into the dialogue of the programs and all the planning, that is very generic. You don't have to be a mom to read those programs. We have these things happening in schools and co-ops and Sunday schools and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's very, very flexible in that way. But I do want you to always know that whenever I'm writing these messages, it's from the heart of one homeschool mom to another. And I hope that shines through and touches your heart in a way that you feel genuinely known and encouraged and never alone on your homeschool journey. And then the last attribute of the Gentle and Classical Presses programs is that we are Christ-centered. And I think that's probably already been made clear, and that probably should have been attribute number one, but we'll just say that I saved the best for last. And it is Christ-centered in that I never wanted to become a curriculum author, and I never wanted to run a business of any kind, especially with homeschool curriculum. I did have desires to write, and I had a small blog before I began the Gentle and Classical Press, but the Gentle and Classical Preschool was just a freebie that I created to try to get more than 5 people a month to read my blog. And God showed me through that experience and all the experiences leading up to it, which were very scattered and didn't have a cohesive picture to me. He has since shown me that that was exactly what he made me to do. And so now that I know that that is what he made me to do, I am so honored to do it for him, but it is always his. He can take it at any moment. And we want to always submit everything that we do to him, and all of the business decisions and all of the curriculum decisions and every book that we select and every message that we write. It is our heart and our goal that not only are we Christ-centered in our programs and in our business, but that we are helping to foster a Christ-centered mentality in your own home as well. The world is so loud and it is so destructive and it is so scary right now. And our children need the stabilizing factor of everything being about Jesus in their life, whether not just on Sunday morning, but whether it's plastered on their memory statements boards or it's in the midst of their music studies and their artist studies. It is our goal that we are pointing to Christ every which way. And we're helping them to see God alive in the world around them and working in their own hearts and in their own families. And if we accomplish that, then it is mission accomplished. Like, that's what we're for, and that is the most important thing about our program. So we do often have families that are not Christians, that are either secular or of another faith, use our programs and make adaptations as well. We're totally okay with that. Our goal would be that anyone that would read the truth of Christ would be moved by that in some way, and that seeds would be planted in their heart. The 7 attributes of the Gentle and Classical Press, that is our heart. That is where these programs came from, how this all came into being. And I hope that I've answered your questions about our motives and our goals and our structure and all of the heart and the meat behind the Gentle and Classical Press. And that as you read our free teacher's guides, and you're free to download all of our teacher's guides: preschool, primer, nature 1, nature 2, sequence 1, and then one of our on missions and one of our morning virtues. Those are all completely free to download with no obligation whatsoever. So I hope that as you read those, that you'll hear my voice behind those, encouraging you, that you would know that our team is praying for you, that we're rallying behind you, and that we are here to support you in any way that you need. So if you want to keep in touch with the Gentle and Classical Press, we really encourage you to head over to our shop and subscribe to our newsletter. And there's also a link down below in the description where you can subscribe. And also be sure to subscribe and follow our YouTube channel as well. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you have a great day.